horror, kaiju, Dragon Ball, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey there, collectors, it's Steven here, and I've got a spooky review for you. We're going to go ahead and insert something creepy here about seeing something by the side of the road, and it turns out to be Mothman. Yeah, today we're going to be taking a look at the Marmit Mothman in accurate colors? How can you have an accurate colored Mothman when Mothman? Anyway, this weekend is actually going to be the Mothman Festival celebrated at the Mothman Museum. There's no affiliation here, but what a better time to do this, right? Right. So, Marmit Mothman, this actually just recently got a reissue, or a repaint, whatever you would prefer to call it, through Marmit directly, M-A-R-M-I-T. Mothman Museum actually was able to get a few of these. I did see that they happened to order some, and they did post some selfies, so that's pretty cool. So if you are there, maybe they sold them, maybe they're there on display, but you can actually go there, hopefully, and see them. Now, with this being released, cool, we do have an option for Mothman on the market, albeit sold out. So will there be a reissue? Don't know, but you're going to want to keep your eyes peeled, and you're going to want to know whether or not this one's going to be worth adding into your collection. So, well, let's find out. We already talked about this sculpt pretty much all over in the glow-in-the-dark version review I did earlier this year. So, if you saw that, I'm basically going to be repeating myself insofar as it's Mothman. What does Mothman look like? Depends on who you ask. But that being said, we do have the typical idea of Mothman: wings, eyes, general shape. And I have to say, for the idea of moth being fuzzy, I do think that Marmit, just the company and thereby the sculptor, did a really nice job of the idea of a fuzzy creature. We do have the red eyes here, and I do have to say the weakness for this figure, the only weakness, aside from something we'll talk about in the articulation section, the red paint for the eyes does bleed out a little bit. So if you're a perfectionist in that regard, then, well, this is not going to be perfect, but there's no such thing as a perfect figure. Now, for the good, which is pretty much everything else. When I saw the still pictures of this beautiful thing online, I was under the impression that it was more so a matte black with some green on the figure. This is mostly metallic, which is amazing in person, and it reflects light beautifully. Then we do have the eyes. This isn't a bad thing. It's not really a 100% good thing, but what's cool is that, yes, there is glitter here. Really nice. Now, if you're in the stylized kaiju game, you know that you can put glitter in the vinyl. You can inject it. Here, the glitter is on top of the eyes. It doesn't cover the entirety of both of the eyeballs, so that's a little disappointing, but it is a cool effect nevertheless. It's a great way to complement the already metallic red eyes to really enhance them a bit more, to even reflect more light. Cool, but I am worried about it potentially flaking off. Overall, Mothman here looks fantastic with the amazing colorations. Now, for articulation, it's more so a byproduct of the way you make vinyl figures than it is a feature. The wings, they don't really move. They kind of just wiggle around. Don't really try to move them. We do have a swivel at the waist, and we do have a swivel at the hips. They just kind of move around. I will say that Mothman standing upright has a little bit of a balancing issue, so you are going to want to pose him leaning forward ever so slightly, so this way he does have stability. Size comparison with some other figures you just might have real quick, since, he's going to be about 8 inches or so. So if you have some stylized kaiju figures, chances are you can go ahead and sneak him right into that display. And like I had promised in the glow-in-the-dark review, here's going to be a side-by-side comparison with the two of them. This is just so this way you can see where the differences are going to be between the accurate version. That's such a weird thing to say, an accurate version of a cryptid, because depending on the culture and the part of the world, it's going to be different. Anyway, you understand the point that I'm getting at. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Kind of like I said at the top when I did some rambling on to incorporate the Mothman Fest and the Mothman Museum here, this has been in circulation, this mold, since, what is that, at the bottom of the foot, 2008. There have been quite a few different colorations. There's been a brown one that I know of for sure, and if you just search on Yahoo Japan auctions, which you can do through Zen Market, I do recommend them. 300 yen per item, real easy to communicate. Bam, boom, done. You will be able to find a whole bunch of different colorways. This is just the most recent, more so flashy one, I guess, that was released. Now, if you are looking to pick one of these up, maybe you can politely ask the guy who runs Marmit on Twitter or even on Instagram if there is a possibility of a reissue. He does actually respond. And hey, maybe that might happen one day. Who knows? And if you do find one for cheap, then this review will hopefully inspire you that once you see it, to go ahead and pick it up. This is great, but for the couple hundreds of dollars, yes, that is true, unfortunately, that this may go for on the aftermarket, not exactly worth it unless you have to have it. If you just want a Mothman figure, though, there is a Safari one. That should suffice. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.